Okay, so now we're going to move into the Q&A section of the call. Melissa, are you with me?
I am. Hello.
Yes. Hello. Okay, so good stuff there. And go back over to my business report. Yes, so really good stuff there. I think I'll stay on keyword research. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our first questions.
Okay. Just a couple of things, Cherie. We had a couple of people say that today the screen resolution has been better, and that is because you are working live from Google Docs, correct? These are not screenshots.
Yeah, no, we've been for the whole optimization series. It's over the shoulder. I'm in my Google Docs.
Okay, perfect. So, and then we had just one person say that the resolution is getting worse, but I don't think that there's anything that we can adjust with that. So,
no, it's still my monitor. It's like, I mean, my monitor is the highest quality monitor. It's a good quality Mac monitor. It's the same one we were viewing the slides on. So if that's doing it, it may be the Google Hangouts, which isn't my area of expertise, as you guys know. But for sure, it's definitely the highest resolution that it could be on my monitor. The only thing I could possibly do is do a little bit of this, maybe. I have to admit I could do a higher view like that.
Oh, that could be. I mean, I can see that. I could see it fine before, but it's a little bit clearer now that it's zoomed in. So maybe that would help.
Yeah, I could bring it up a little bit higher in terms of the size, the percentage. Of course, right before class, like always, like one of these sheets deleted and then
right.
So anyway, so yeah, everything is here. I just feel glad it's salvaged.
Okay. The first question that we had come in today, and I'm going, you guys are getting these in order as they're submitted. So even the people who are submitting during class and before, those are getting answered first. So if you submitted something during training, we're just going to go through them that way.
And then in terms of housekeeping, Melissa, we have so many assets that are like just so close to being done. And I have a quick announcement in terms of that for house cleaning. So asset wise, we just have a list that'd be tricky we don't need to address that on this call. Okay. But the other thing that we do need to address though is on Thursday now, we are getting into this place of optimization where I need to share some particular report templates and the way that I report to kind of track my total sales against advertising sales, right? So I do a lot of that. That's how it's kind of my specialty is making sure that the ad sales are actually driving total growth and driving, history and the things that we want in our campaigns. They're not designed as a standalone project. The ad campaigns are designed to drive velocity. So at least the way I design them. So with that in mind, I do a lot of reporting that allows me to track. I mean, that's the key metric, right? The OKR is, okay, what's the key performance, indicator here? The KPI is what does total sales look like? So I have dashboards that we use proprietary stuff in-house, very simple stuff that allows you to kind of track those metrics. They're really important that you have those. So instead of doing another campaign demo, we are going to have to just minimize the demos now for the rest of the session. We still will do our Tuesday demo. Obviously, next week is search term mining, and the following week is actually moving stuff into cost, kind of cost effective, pricing into the buy group. So we have 2 more sessions that are live demos. This was a campaign cleanup demo. But the main thing that we won't be doing that on Thursdays now, because Thursdays, instead of a campaign demo, I'm going to need to be kind of reviewing documentation that we're handing out regarding dashboards and templates for your reporting. So I want to make sure that the class is has some kind of recorded content on those particular templates. Again, we're always doing everything based on your feedback. So because of that, on Thursday, I won't be doing another campaign demo Thursday. Instead, I'll be demoing how to build your advertising dashboard to track all your metrics, including total sales against ad spend.
All right. Let's see here. Okay. So when you're ready for questions, I got questions organized for you.
Yeah, that's it. That was it. I just letting you know that the Thursday implementation will be about the advertising dashboard and tracking, not about actual campaign optimization.
Okay. And this is a question that we've had a ton of times, but everybody just keeps asking. And I know exactly what your answer is going to be to it. And I almost just typed it out. What's your opinion of Bid Plus?
I don't do it. I do all manual bidding because my bids are designed to rank the products, or they're designed to make it break even. I only have 2 goals with a bid. I either want to rank as high as possible to get as many sales and as much brand visibility, or my secondary goal is to cap that bid so it doesn't bleed my budget. Going back to this strategy I've outlined here today, this is a lot of bleed. Oh, I think Melissa just dropped something. Was that you, Melissa?
No, I just touched something though, and then maybe that was it.
Wow, it sounded like something just fell over into the universe.
Oh, no, nope.
That's why. Anyway, it wasn't on this side. So if I go back into here, this is all dead weight and wasted ad dollars. So essentially, if I'm looking at this campaign and I need to do really well with these products, I've got an additional, 4,000 if I were to total these up. Not like I want to get rowdy and try to do formulas while we're in class, but I'm going to. If I were to sum these up, that's $10,000 if I got that right. Just right there, I've got, $10,000 of wasted ad. I mean, that's sales. Sorry, let me go to spend. And I'm like, okay, that's why we don't do this stuff live. Okay, so if I'm over here to spend, yeah, it's $7,000 of ad spend that I need to put towards those products. I mean, Amazon's no joke. It's a massive search engine, right? Like I need my budget to go through those good products, right? That I can actually sell with unique selling, good problem solution, good feature benefits, good ingredients, things that other products don't have, markets that aren't totally saturated, like I'm kind of going after this kind of like green pastures, or if you're in business, it would be a, kind of a blue ocean strategy versus red, right? We still are like, the advertising is just the laws of business. You still got to stay clear of red oceans and get into the blue. So where it's some open territory to move and to scale. So with this, I don't want $7,000 of wasted ad spend. So I have two goals with my bids. I either want as much traffic as possible when the ACoS is good, or I want to cap all the spend on these high ACoS stuff. I want it all capped. So I don't let Amazon do my bidding. I use my bidding very strategically. It's actually the key. It's the key lever that you can pull to get everything performing the way you want it.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so this question from Christine has a lot of metrics in it, so you're going to want to take notes here.
Okay.
All right. So it says, and it's a bit long, so bear with me.
Yeah, okay. Kind of go piece by piece, thinking about if I'm trying to write it, because it may be tricky if it has a lot of metrics.
Yep, not a problem. Okay, so Christine says, I've set up a campaign for one of my best products, and it's been running for over a week. Mm-hmm. I started with about 9 shop keywords, including the different match types. Mm-hmm. I've paused all but 4, and the 4 remaining ACoS are high, ranging from 47% to 76%. The 76% ACoS is my main keyword with the most sales. Only 1 keyword is really producing. Same in the browse category with similar ACoS and only 1 keyword really producing. My question is, do I just put those few keywords in a buy group and get the ACoS down? Is that the only thing I can do for a product like this? This always seems to happen with this product. I lose money on the PPC, but my organic sales go up 3 to 5 times. Yesterday, I only had 10 sales for PPC and 20 plus sales organically. But if I try to lower the ACoS, I end up losing a lot of the organic sales. So is it ever a win to lose money with PPC to gain more sales organically?
It has to be sustainable, though. That's the only problem with the ad cost. It would just be too hard to track. Like, when would you run out of money? Like, how long could you lose money? And I guess how much gain are you seeing organically? Like, if it, I do think that, lowering the ACoS, I think that could be it. I mean, I think also exploring your keywords is really important, right? Like, I don't know if your browse and your shop keywords can be retooled where there's maybe like another layer of more targeted keywords that could actually define the product better. But if it's very broad general keywords, you kind of have to reduce those bids and get the ACoS in order. You have to break even on it. That's really the deal. You can eat a little bit of high ACoS as it starts to scale and then balance out, which happens a lot. Where you get a little bit of a high ACoS and then you reduce. And then you can kind of reduce from that, with that bid slightly and see it kind of taper off because sales have gone up. But if you're not seeing that and the ACoS is, again, in those crazy zones, like I've covered, I think anything in the crazy zone just has to be reduced. And you don't have to move them to buy, though. If all the keywords in those groups are kind of struggling along at those high ACoS, it's probably better that you go ahead and I would just go ahead and reduce the bids in the browse and shop and see if you can get more optimized traffic that way versus getting them over to buy with firm CPCs. Maybe you can just lower the CPC incrementally at browse and shop and get the numbers coming back in line.
All right. Fiona's got the next question here.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of skincare products, would you negative phrase ingredients that are not in your product but are related? So, for example, vitamin C serum, mine does not have retinol, and the competitor has a vitamin C serum plus retinol.
Well, it's tricky because, without question, you could do that. You could use retinol as a negative, but it's also one of those main keyword drivers in your product. Because this is your product. It is one of those main drivers that is retinol is an anti-aging treatment. They kind of, it almost is like it's a solution. It gets the same result. So here's what I'm going to go off. You need to test it and see. Unless you start to see, again, it's very pragmatic. It's so pragmatic. Like, unless you start to see retinol delivering bad conversions for you in your search term report, unless you start to see retinol show up as a negative, coming through everything, if it doesn't show up in the data, then it's probably not hindering your campaign at all. And I would only negative it after I had data that I need to, only because it's more problem solution based. So, like, for example, I have, for another example would be like, just because someone wants retinol, they may not necessarily have to have that ingredient. They may be open to anything that reduces wrinkles or is an acid serum, or it just really, the retinol really shows up in your market as a kind of a category type driver. You wouldn't have to negative it unless you started seeing some bad results. Otherwise, it's one of those things that's kind of broad, but you'd be surprised at how many people start a search with retinol, and then they may see a better product with better ingredients and better reviews and test that. So I definitely wouldn't be bidding on words like retinol, but you don't have to negative it until you see that you have data showing you that it's producing some bad conversions.
All right. And Christine's got another question here. It says, let's see here. Okay. I have a seasonal holiday product, and the main browse keywords do not contain the product name because they are more generic. For example, it's Christmas gifts for her.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to use these types of keywords that do not contain or describe what the product actually is? This product is a unique custom product that I created, and there aren't any like it or any search volume for it, although I predict it will be a big seller for this season. So should all the search terms just be generic in browse to get more data initially?
Yeah, I think you'd have to do it that way. If it's not a product with featured and with keywords that define the features and benefits of the product, then you would have to go after those browse kind of broader keywords, like that. But I would, it's going to be, this is what's the great part about that though, is that's the beautiful part about browse keywords. They either work or they don't. Like I said, you have a better chance with those broader keywords working. The more you climb the ladder in terms of bestseller, the higher you get in terms of your organic rank, your bestseller rank, your overall visibility in the category. As you move up the ladder into those top 3 positions, or maybe even 5 positions for that product type. For example, like something broad like Christmas gift. As you get higher up in the category, the broader keywords will work really good for you because you have overall brand visibility and leadership, and you're kind of in these positions that you can leverage. You can definitely leverage those broader keywords as your brand visibility and your brand strength improves. If it's a newer brand or newer product, the broader keywords are challenging. That's just the truth. And the only way to learn on it is to go ahead and advertise on it and see what happens. I would do a pretty heavy negative list. So unlike, something like retinol that describes the exact feature and benefit I want on Amazon, I'm not sold that has to be a negative. But something like collagen, like I pointed out earlier, that I know is absolutely going to define my product wrong, right? I know that I don't have a powder or these peptides or these, vital collagen. I don't have I don't have any of these kind of pills or, these hydrolyzed collagen stuff, gelatin, there's a lot of negatives. This would be a long list. So with this one, I know these are negatives because they're just not applicable. And it could be very easy if I start to kind of tackle words like collagen that these are going to come into my funnel. With what you're talking about with Christmas, I mean, you could actually go and do some research on what products you would negative, but actually if it's a Christmas gift, you don't even want to do a lot of negative kind of building because you want that traffic, right? So you're really hoping that as you put this together, that you get more traffic, right? You're hoping that you get more visibility in the overall Christmas gift kind of product category. So yeah, you just have to test it and see what happens.
All right. Why do you start selecting your keywords when doing keyword research by including the keyword that you have a seed keyword, not a related keyword? So, for example, the vitamin C serum with, I can't say it either, hydronic acid is in the products, but in WordTree, you get a high volume for searches for dark spots. Why not try to bid for dark spots as well as bidding for vitamin C serum?
Because you would do it later. You would do it later as, you know, you could, just because it's in the same category. But again, he has a product for dark spots. You know what I mean? Not saying that the youth collagen serum won't remove dark spots, but if you go look at this title, right, this product title, it doesn't say anything about dark spots. So if I'm looking at like a click to sale ratio, I'm just not going to bet on keywords that don't absolutely define the product just to get, it's going to be tricky enough to just get these defining keywords to work. I think later you can go down absolutely in phase 2 as you expand your shop keywords, especially as you get data in on the search term report. As you expand your shop keywords, you bet you would maybe try the dark spots. But it's not in the title. And it doesn't absolutely, I think that you would do better. With me, I did highlight those dark spot keywords, but for me, I'm going to move them into the skin lightening product. That to me is the kind of title that would sell somebody looking for a dark spot lightener. It says natural skin lightening, right? It's a different kind of acid. It's, you know, for bleaching, whitening, and it says dark spot, you know, correction. So all my dark spot keywords are going to go on this product, right? I don't have any reason to test it up here on my serum. I'm going to go ahead and focus on serum keywords in the shop funnel, or really ingredient specific keywords. And then I'm going to focus on my broader, like facial serum kind of stuff, to see if I can hit some gold down here on my brow stuff. But if I'm getting into dark spots, I'm going to put it on the dark spot product in its own campaign. This is one of the key things I've pointed out from the beginning. I don't need to lump everything in and try to get the collagen serum to sell under all keywords. I'm trying to build sales history. I'm trying to conserve my money. I'm trying to conserve my, my performance and my whole history. I don't want to, there's no reason to be risking when I can go ahead and know that title is particularly that product is going to convert my dark spot shoppers better. But the thing I love about it is those two products go together. So the dark spot keywords would go into this lightening solution. All the anti-aging wrinkle serums would go into the collagen. And I do know without question, these would be kind of a complementary, frequently bought together type situation because they solve the same problems. And then I think I'm going after the same audience. And then I've gone ahead and added the eye wrinkle cream, which is also definitely an anti-aging product. The way it's talking about dark circles and puffiness and wrinkles. So yeah, those three products kind of go together, but I would definitely not be putting the dark spot corrector on the serum. I'd be putting it on the lightener.
All right, next one here. What do you mean when you said to rotate 2 product ASINs in one single ad group in a parent-child campaign?
Well, if you have a parent-child campaign, you would just advertise your best-selling child ASIN. If you have 2 separate parent ASINs, you would sometimes need to rotate those if they were both sold on the same keywords. Okay. And they were comparable in conversion and history.
All right. Kenny's got the next question here. It says, on the search term report, there's a keyword that has 10 to 20 or more clicks, but they're all single clicks on different customer search phrases, and that's driving up the ACoS. So basically, the broad and phrase match keyword hasn't gotten any sales, but has a lot of single clicks with a large number of different customer search phrases. What's the best way to deal with this?
I think you'll need more data. Anytime you're looking at single clicks, so you just have to let that roll over, because a single click could turn into sales. Like, even though those look like non-eventful cost drivers right now, you need to give it the tipping point. It needs to get to, 3, 5, 7 clicks to start seeing anything tip. Maybe 3, 5, 7 clicks should tip. And then at 10, you can make a decision. But at this point, you need more clicks to get a sale. You're never going to get 1 click, 1 sale. So no one's going to put one search term in, 1 click, 1 sale. Never. not in the history of time. So on that one, unfortunately, those one clicks are irrelevant. There's nothing to do with that data. It's not conclusive and it doesn't show any kind of pattern. No pattern. So there's no pattern in that. The problem that you may have, though, on a broader or phrase keyword is if you continue to see that pattern and that trend with more clicks, more numbers, more data, and you conclusively see the majority of search terms coming off of that do not convert, you can add some negatives. That's one way to do it. Or that is not the right broad or phrase keyword for you to be targeting because the majority of keyword variations don't work. So here, let's go after an example of this right here in this campaign build right here. There's a high chance that facial serum may not work. In fact, all kinds of variations could come in on facial serum that don't work for me, especially with the popularity of other products. Now I need to test them to see what happens. And also that a lot of these facial serums are in the $20 range. So these are $20, mine's $135. There's a good chance in the browse cycle, I'll have to add negatives over time to get it cleaned up. That's what it's for, the search term report. But there's a good chance that I'm going to get a lot of search terms on facial serum that just don't match up to this product for conversion. I won't know till I test, but I've given it my best shot, right? And again, if I wanted to reduce this even more, I could literally, even go down to one keyword. But either way, facial serum has a high likelihood of bringing me stuff that's maybe not interesting, but I won't know till I see the data. If I go up, into my shop group, at that point, I think it's going to be highly unlikely that someone looking outside of price, for, wrinkle or hyaluronic acid or collagen serum or anti-aging serum, I think these all have a real fighting chance of bringing in good search term variations. And I'll most likely not get as much kind of traffic that doesn't convert off of those, if that makes sense. That's why we always kind of start in the midtail and you start with these kind of modified searches that really define the features and benefits, because it's going to be better in the search term report for the variations it brings in. So you'll just have to see what your search term report looks like over time. If it's a very broad keyword, it's got a higher chance that the variations won't work at broad and phrase match. And it also has to do with your data. If you have them set as broad and phrase, if you had data previous to this, that the broad and phrase converted for you. Again, as we start to really push our broad and phrase, we already have conclusive, like last week's demo, we had tons of sales. We have conclusive data that these particular single keywords work for us historically in broad match. Like last week's example of the giant bubbles, those giant bubble keywords were killing it, right? I mean, I had 300 orders, I think, or 400 orders. At that point, I know that I could take it and peel it out as a single, and I already know it rocks. And then I'm just going to mine more aggressively and double it up. So it depends on how much data you had initially about that broader phrase match. Did it look promising to start? If it looked promising to start, I would say one click's not enough data. I would say if it didn't look promising, one click's not enough data. So I think either way, you need more data. But you can also, if you want to be conservative on your budget, you can go through the filter of, is this a really broad keyword? Is it too general for me to actually, convert? Should I be moving up into the shop funnel with, keywords that identify the product?
Right. See here, Vicky's got the next question. Vicky says, instead of starting a brand new ad group, could I rename an old ad group that has sales history and start adding brand new keywords? So for example, I have an ad group with only exact match. Can I pause all of the keywords that I have in there and then add brand new keywords?
Sure. I mean, there's no really from a management standpoint, though, once you put it in the same campaign shell, it's going to pick up nicely. I don't think there's any advantage to using an ad group shell. I personally have never done that. I like to have a clean ad group because, of course, I'm tracking keywords that are paused and enabled based on history. So if they're my keywords, like the ones I've added here, normally I've got some click history if they've been paused or enabled. And I've got performance history. So I would not do that. No, I would start with a brand new ad group. There's no benefit to starting with the old ad group. But definitely start in the old campaign shell because there's good history in there, but you don't need to use the same ad group.
This question says, how do you get a lifetime keyword on Campaign Manager? The time field is limited to the last 3 months or less.
Yeah, you can't do it in the reports. You have to go into the Campaign Manager itself, go into the keyword view that you're looking to pull. If I go back through these, I can show you. And again, you pull your most recent search term report. You would pull any search term report you have historically. And if you still don't have any data, like this one, there's no data, very few clicks, lots of, clicks and zero sales that will be paused, which is why a lot of these campaigns can just go away. But if we come into here, you can go into the Campaign Manager and you're going to select the actual campaign, and then the actual ad group that you want to, go ahead and download the keywords, hit the keyword tab, and then you can go ahead and download it there with the download button. So it's a physical download button. You hit lifetime in the campaign manager, not the search report, not the reports manager, but the actual ad manager. You go ahead and you hit lifetime in the date range, and then you go ahead and download with an export.
Okay. Smile's got a question here. It says, is there a way I can set a time on when I run my campaigns on Amazon? It seems to me that Amazon seems to come by the last minute or late hours at nighttime just to take all my money, so that all the dollars on the ad spends go very fast between 9 p.m. and 12 p.m. compared to daytime, which is like 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. So it looks like
there's no day parting in Amazon. And if you start to do that manually, you're going to mess up your position and your placement. So you don't want to be, intermittently like turning on and off the campaigns manually until Amazon codes something into the algorithm like Google has. Until Amazon goes ahead and codes in a day parting feature, you don't want to do that manually. So you just got to kind of let it run. But you're right. The prime shopping hours on Amazon, there's a huge lift between evening shopping. Obviously, people get off work. So there's a massive lift for evening shoppers, and your budget does probably kind of blaze through versus during the day. But no day parting feature yet. You don't want to do it manually because you're going to mess up your own position and ad rank by constantly pulling the ads down. You're going to send a weird signal to the algorithm.
Okay, and Hatsfield wants to know, what are your bids for phrase, broad, and exact match keywords? Are they a bit above Amazon's highest suggested range?
They are. They're a bit above the suggested range, and that's kind of here if I'm going into this campaign outline. These are set a little bit above. And again, going back into it, another thing to really keep in mind is even though you may set a tiered bid, on those keywords, you're going to be editing your bids as you go. So, but yes, for sure, just a little bit above the suggested bid is a great place to start. I like to weight exact match a little heavier, broad next, and phrase next. So if I am going to say based on bid, although you never know exactly, but if I'm putting them in singles, I normally will say that exact has a higher value than broad, and phrase has the lowest value of the three.
All right. Okay, we've got some metrics in this one, so I'll read it slow so you can take some notes.
Okay.
Yep, this one's from Pret. So Pret says, I have 15 campaigns with a total of 2.5 million searches per month over all campaigns. Mm. Top of search accounts for 13% of sales, 2% of impressions. Other placements accounts for 87% of sales and 98% of impressions.
Hold on one sec. I got through top of search. 13% and 2% top of search?
Yep, top of search.
What's the next one?
Other placements is 87% for sales and 98% for impressions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So to get number one rank, my A cost is 60% plus the break even is 35%. So would you continue to push for 20% impressions to come from top of search?
No. If you've already tried to bid for rank, that's just what that's indicating is that you're getting plenty of traffic and other placements, and it's converting for you. It's, you do see far more conversions top of search. It's an amazing position, but it's only valuable if you can do it at break even. First rule to making money is not to lose it. You just can't lose money to get top of search if you can't keep top of search. If you can bid for rank and test it, thank you for doing it, because at the other side of it, that's certainly not a placement that you don't want to test. You know what I mean? So once you've tested it and the A cost doesn't come in, you've given it a fighting chance. You're absolutely right. You just need to focus on those other placements that are driving, 80% of your orders and 98% of your impressions.
All right. Liz's question is up here next. Liz says, what do you do if the product becomes out of stock and that is the ASIN that you are pushing in your ad campaigns? Do you switch to another variation ASIN or do you close the listing?
Normally, if something's out of stock, I don't do anything with the campaign. It goes dark because as soon as the product's out of stock, it's ineligible. So, okay, let's go here though. So it's ineligible the second it's out of stock. Okay, so there's a few different ways depending on how your product pages are structured, right? Okay, so if for example, you have a parent-child relationship, and in the parent-child, In the parent-child relationship, the problem is that even if you put up a second variation, it's probably not going to convert as well as what you have. And normally, my experience with something like that is I would just let it be. You don't want to run out of stock. It's not a normal instance, right? I mean, it's not like you're going to be running out of stock all the time. It's probably like a one-time event. You'll figure out why, now that you have your ad flow, you'll figure out why you ran out of stock. I would just let it go. It's just going to say not eligible. And I would just let it sit as not eligible in the ad manager. Then it'll pop itself back in as soon as inventory's back. I wouldn't mess with it at all. I wouldn't. You can sometimes rotate another variation in to fill the spot. But the problem with that is if your sales conversion and your click metrics on that other variation are lower, now your campaign's going to come back on with poorer metrics, right? Like all of a sudden you had this killer performer and it's going to go dormant while you're out of inventory. It'll come back on and come back up in rank. Where if you start tinkering with it and put other products in there, now you're messing with the formula, because as we know, the formula in PPC is nothing to do. Price is only half the formula. It's only half the formula, very little part. The biggest part of PPC is product conversion, how well the product sells, how well it clicks, and how relevant it is based on sales history. So when you look at those two things put together, it's tricky. You know what I mean? You're really going to put a wild card into the half the formula by putting a product in that you don't know how it's going to perform. So I wouldn't do it. Normally, I would just let it go. I would just try not to be out of inventory. I would let it stay ineligible.
Okay. In the example that you'd shared today in class, can you walk through the steps of identifying collagen serum within the helium tools and word tree as the keyword to use?
Yes. Okay, so I'm looking strictly at relevance. Again, this is like a long game, right? It's advertising, it's lifetime. You know what I mean? I'm trying to build a brand. I'm patient. I need to figure out where I can actually win. I'm starting in the mid-tail. So with that in mind, right, I'm going to not go after these broad keywords that are going to eat my budget and put me in a position to not build strong history. So I go ahead and I started because I know nothing about these products, right? Like this is brand new and I'm just going in and doing the research like you would be. After I've done my business report analysis, after I pull the recent search term and I still don't have enough data, right? I kind of come in here. I don't have enough data in the search term. I'm always going to my search term first. If I can get good search term data, if I could get good lifetime data, I want to use this data first. This is the best data out there. I want this first. But if I still can't get anything good out of this, like I don't consider serums, creams, base, sunscreen. Again, this was not done by the client. This was done by a manager. I can't imagine. But serums, creams, base, these just are like, whoa, this is not good. This is not good. So now I have to go over, like you're saying, how did I get it out of helium-10? So now I start with the ASIN, right? I have my business report ASINs right here, product ASINs. I'm going to go ahead and build out these 3 products that I think are strong. They either have killer landing pages, the eye cream. They have great sales history and demand, the face serum. They have a unique selling proposition and sales history, skin lightening cream, right? So all 3 of these have some kind of metric that interests me. I would be completely concerned with these unit session percentages, with the exception on these products that, boy, the keywords were not targeted. You guys just saw the search term report, right? There was no targeted keywords in these. So of course, unit session was low because anyone coming on the keyword face probably isn't looking to buy this particular $135 solution. So I don't really take that into account. Just look at the history. And look at the strength of the sales page. So I've got these 3 products. I go ahead over to Helium-10. I have a little keyword research doc, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go into the Helium-10 Cerebro tool, and I'm going to take this ASIN from the business report, this guy right here, child ASIN. I'm going to run it through Cerebro just so that I get a general idea. It's like kind of the short version of WordTree. It's just the short kind of reverse ASIN pull that's going to allow me to say, okay, what are the main keywords about, on this product? So I go ahead and compile that into one sheet. You can see it here. And then from there, I'm kind of looking and I say, okay, where's my broad phrase? Where's my demand at on this? And what is actually relevant to what I have? Then I go right back to just the simple pragmatic relevance of this product is a collagen serum. It has this hyaluronic acid in it. I'm sure Dr. Kalen's going to help me get this right. I'm sure Dr. Colin's he's going to help me figure out how I'm so bad at pronunciation. I can't even pronounce the name right after not being able to pronounce the word right. It's throwing me off so bad. But Dr. Callie is going to help me figure out how to say that particular word. But anyway, going back into it, I go straight to the subject line. Like there's this acid ingredient that's super key. I have collagen, which is super key. It shows up twice, right? I have a serum that's in my headline. It's great for face and eyes, which is interesting. It's an anti-aging product. It's an anti-wrinkle product. Again, it's for facial skin. I am not in any way master of the obvious here. I am just a shopper, and this is what I'm going to read, and this is what I'm going to see on the product page. So I say, okay, which of these keywords really relates to what's on the product page? From here, I think obviously the main ingredient and with its serum is good. It's an anti-aging product, which is good. Now I come in here and I'm looking at the highest volume, right? I'm going to go ahead and I can sort this by Z to A, broad phrase. Okay. And then it's got this youth collagen thing, but you can see here, if you're really learning how this particular product is shopped, he's in a good spot for the simple fact that there are people searching on Amazon for Botox, and Botox is a cosmetic procedure, right? I'm sure there's a lot of like over-the-counter stuff. Maybe I know nothing about it. But Botox is without question, if you're an advertiser, you know that Botox for the face is, or it's, these are, cosmetic procedures. So if he's over here, if they're looking for this stuff, then without question, this kind of medical grade is going to work, right? So on here, I'm just going to get the ones that are most relevant. So all these are relevant to the core ingredients, all relevant to the title. And then from here, it's a serum. I want to stay focused on that, right? It's not, I'm going to stay away from anything that could be kind of mixed up with a collagen kind of protein, because I don't need those keywords. I'm just testing. At this point, I've kind of got everything out of here that I would get. I would be interested possibly down here if I went deeper in the funnel on this collagen booster. But again, I'd be staying pretty focused on serums and pretty focused on these kind of broad phrases that have a lot of keyword demand, so I could really see how it's going to work and get things into my search term report. Next, I could go ahead and search by phrase. With that in mind, I'm going after the same keywords. They show up as exact match here too, right? So I've searched as broad phrase, and now I've searched as exact phrase. And with that one, I'm going to have the same thing. Like this, the exact phrases start to go down, right? So, I mean, this is a really killer, like direct converting keyword that could be added. Again, I just went after kind of like the main variations, like I taught you guys early. Like I could just go after this hyaluronic acid serum versus the one for face, which has lower search volume. I'm happy to test it as just the ingredient plus the word serum. Happy to test it as anti-aging plus the word serum. Definitely want to test collagen plus the word serum. And that's pretty much what I've got, right? And these are going to be the most relevant keywords. And I got those out of Helium-10, Cerebro, Reverse ASIN on the product. So then from there, I say, okay, which of these keywords I could go a little deeper on? Maybe there's other keyword variations that are super crucial that could convert better. Let's have a look. And so then from there, I go and pull collagen through, and I realize, wow, I got to get a bunch of negatives in here because collagen is not just a liquid facial collagen. There's collagens being used in a lot of different ways. And then I go ahead to serum, and I pull that through the keyword tool, and I get these numbers, right? So now I get to look at what are the most popular serums. And this is where Dr. Kali was asking, okay, could you do something like retinol? What would you do with the word retinol? Well, if I don't have data on it, this particular instance shows me that a lot of people buy serums looking for retinol. And what that indicates usually on Amazon for me is that they buy stuff that is not necessarily retinol if it's going to be the solution that retinol provides, right? So if it's an anti-aging solution, if it's a skin smoothing solution, they're just looking for those benefits. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to buy just retinol, but I'm not bidding on retinol, and I'm not bidding on vitamin C. I think those are going to be really crazy. First of all, it would have to be a serum anyway, but I'm not bidding on the C serum or the vitamin C serum for this product for the simple fact that it's just too saturated, and the ad inventory is going to be hard to come by. And I've got this $19 to $32 competitive range, and I'm $135. So I'm going to stay more on this medical grade this acid kind of peel up here. So then I keep going. Like I had mentioned to you guys earlier, dark spot is something I would add in to the wrinkle product, right? Not the wrinkle, I'm sorry, but the whitening, the lightening product. I think if you have a dark spot, I think the lightening headline really lends itself to sell that product better, the dark spot corrector. So if I go ahead and do that, I did highlight those dark spot correctors because I think that they would work really well on the lightning product. So from here, and they work well together, which is great because then we could maybe get some frequently bought together going on. So serum for face, this is definitely a broad kind of browse keyword that I'd like to test. It's not a ton. It's not nearly as much volume as just the basic word serum. So serum for face would be kind of a drill down there. Face serum. None of these volumes are so sketchy that I wouldn't be willing to test them in browse. I would never test the word serum in browse. It's got 1 million searches a month. There's going to be so much filtering there. It's highly unlikely that you have a product that is broad enough to hit 1 million searches a month on anything. So serum for face, acid serum, I definitely have something similar to that. I have a face serum, and this is another thing that's interesting on acid serum. You have 176 exact, and you have 46,000 broad. So I have my office windows open. It's so nice out today. 46,000 in broad, 176 on exact. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people like partnering other words with the acid serum, and I want to see what they put in. And I have an acid serum, and I want to see what kind of words they're going to use, and if I can convert more of that. It is another one you could test later would be eye serum. That's another interesting one. I didn't leave it on this one though, because I just need to get my basic, really strong, modified feature and benefit searches. They need to be in the title, right? So face serum, I'm going to do again. Ingredient serum, I'm going to do again, the acid serum. Facial serum, not enough volume to freak me out. I'm going to test it in browse. Again, the dark spot corrector for face, I think is awesome for that lightning product. And that would be the only direction I would take the lightning product. Because as you look here under serums, right, like the same kind of benefits, this is a serum package product. You can really see that the dark spots really overlay with the anti-aging and serum theme. Lots of that overlay. I don't see a lot of like bleaches and whiteners coming into that. So the bleaching and the whitening is not as interesting to me as focusing on the dark spots, because I think the dark spots are indicative of the market, right? Then I go in and I say, okay, I have this acid ingredient. Let's go ahead and see what is there. And that's awesome. That's searched for quite a bit. I'd have to do, again, the negatives I've already included to make sure that I don't get anywhere crazy, but I would want to see how far I could take those searches, right? And again, it's a serum for the face. This dark spot is interesting, but it would go in a different product. Once again, I'm just grabbing all the stuff. But once we get into this, you can see that, for sure, people do associate dark spot removal with this particular acid treatment. And that's without question and happening here. But I wouldn't be focused on that on this initial run. I'd be focused on putting those into a separate lightning campaign. And I'd be focused more on the wrinkle serum and those kinds of keywords, anti-aging serum, ingredient serum, collagen serum. I'd be kind of going a different direction there. So that's how I did those.
All right. Okay, Smile's got a question here. It says, if we are running out of stock, should we raise our price to slow down sales or not, because that would lower our sales velocity? Similarly, when we run out of stock, what should we do about sponsored ads in the meantime? I know we kind of addressed part of that question, but.
Yeah, we did. We addressed it. So you just need to leave everything go. I mean, I would not be increasing the price of your product. You don't want to mess with the sales history of the campaign. The idea is not to run out of inventory. When you're out of inventory, the ads will go down. It's not a huge deal. Historically, it's not a huge deal. It's a way bigger deal. You don't want to be out of inventory because that's a big deal for Amazon. That's like your Amazon business kind of 101. But in terms of the ad campaign specifically, it's a far bigger deal if you start messing with the price metrics, messing with the product mix, messing with things in the campaign, and then you're going to give the algorithm a signal that it doesn't sell the same, it doesn't perform the same. I wouldn't do that. Just let it go and let it be ineligible until you get it back in stock, and then don't let it run out of stock again.
Okay. If you're launching a new product and you let it sit at Amazon for a couple months or more while you prepare for your launch, is that negatively impacting your sales history? Or do you only really start to build sales history once you begin actively selling and have some type of sales velocity?
No, sales history starts right out the gate. So yeah, the sooner you start selling, promoting, and moving that product, the better it's going to be for the overall velocity of the product.
Okay. What's an ideal session percentage?
There's not one. Every product varies.
Right.
It has to do in session percentage. It has to do with how many products are in the catalog. You're just looking for the highest percentage. Kind of go with those 80-20 ratios again. Where are you getting 20%? Where are you getting the 80% of your overall sessions? What is Amazon liking? You can see it as a dramatic difference. There's no key number here as much as looking at the ranges for your product range. So I have a ton of ASINs here, but I can see if I take it by category that 29%, session percentage here, 29-30% of my stuff is coming in face serum. And then I can keep going down here and say, okay, and then another 27% is coming out of skin lightening cream, right? These are huge wins. I mean, these are the places you want to go first and foremost, into the face serum, into the eye, into the skin lightening cream, because they're places that the algorithm has already given visibility. The algorithm is already saying that these work at some capacity because you're getting these. And then you can see the lower numbers, right? Kind of looking at it as a ratio, like, okay, what's 1%, 1.5%, 1.5%, 30%. 5%, 3%. You could tell where the products are that the algorithm is already liking and people are already buying, and they have a little traction, so you can leverage that momentum with your ad campaigns. So I would say using that to your advantage is key.
All right. When you say do full keyword downloads after the reverse ASIN search, what do you mean by that?
You are in, if you use our keyword research guide, you're in the Helium 10 tool, and you go ahead and do kind of a reverse ASIN, not kind of a, you do a Cerebro reverse ASIN to get some basic keyword ideas, just to brainstorm, right? And at this point, you start to choose, like, okay, I'll go back this way. I start to choose that this main ingredient, and I want to partner it with the word serum, but I want more information on this ingredient, like how much can I get out of that, like keywords that aren't showing up here. So I go ahead and I go back to the keyword magnet tool, and I just search for this word and do a download. And then I get this sheet, import it, and I start to look at just, that particular acid search.
All right. See here. Okay, Info's got the next question here. Question about competitive research strategy. What should I consider in order to know it's time to refresh my strategy and reassess my competitors to adjust that strategy? Is there a time, like every 6 months or so, or is there some kind of indicator that would suggest it's time for a refresh?
Well, every quarter you want to review your strategy again. You know what I mean? So every single quarter, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, every single quarter you should be reviewing your strategy top to bottom. And that would be an awesome time to go out and see if there's new competitors that you should be targeting.
Okay. Daryl's got the next question here. It says, if my broad and phrase match keywords are driving my ACOS up, do I exact match this keyword in phrase and broad? If so, will this affect my ads showing for other broad and phrase searches?
I don't think I would do that. I wouldn't add it as a negative if that's what you mean. If you don't want to do the broad and phrase, you could always just run it as exact match. You just aren't going to do a lot of discovery. But if your broad and phrase don't convert for you, that means keyword discovery doesn't convert for you either, right? You're not losing out. Like, essentially, broad and phrase are there for testing, because if they work, it is the keys to the kingdom on discovery, right? Like, to get those keywords discovered at scale, you need these like core seed keywords. I need people searching for collagen serum. I need people searching for this acid. I need people looking for these things, wrinkles and anti-aging, and I need to capture them. So I need to know which of these keywords in those particular kind of niches are going to come through and convert for me. So it's a gold mine if I can get broad and phrase to work there. If for some reason I run these keywords, right, and they don't actually come in at a good ACOS, then that means the variations they mine are most likely not going to be super valuable for you. So it's one of those things that if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And then if it doesn't work as broad or phrase, just run it as exact.
Okay. Hatsfield says, I've peeled my best performing keywords aside and set up single word ad groups in exact and broad, but they dropped performance. Do I pause them and put them back in my shop group?
Well, it depends on how much data you have before you moved them. 20 orders, 30 orders, 50 orders. I don't know how much data you have before you move those into singles. I mean, you need a lot of data. Otherwise, they don't belong singled out yet, at least into singles. Now you can move them into scale after 3 sales, 5 sales, right? 3 to 5 sales, move them into scale. But if you're trying to move them into singles, you need a lot more data than that. So I don't know how much data you had before you moved them. And normally I would have moved your exact match into scale and just done my broad and phrase as singles to see how much I could mine off of those.
All right. Would it be good to keep a keyword that has a lot of impressions, but not very many clicks and no sales because you're getting this exposure, or does it hurt you in the algorithm?
One more time.
Yep. So the keyword has lots of impressions, not very many clicks, and 0 sales. Do they keep it to get the exposure, or does it hurt in the long run with the algorithm?
It doesn't look good. I mean, you really want impressions, clicks, and conversions to be congruent. That's your goal in a good campaign. In a campaign that's functioning well, you want impressions, clicks, and conversions to be a nice tiered kind of structure where your impressions convert to clicks and your clicks convert to sales. If something's not happening there, that shows there's a lack of relevance. And yeah, it definitely is not good to be out showing on the ad and people aren't interested enough to click. It also doesn't benefit Amazon in a PPC strategy because they get paid when people click. So if you have an ad that's taking up inventory and getting a lot of views without the appropriate number of clicks, at the end of the day, they're going to stop it at some point because they're in the business of making money and they have excessive demand for their inventory. It's like so popular, right? So they're not going to have ads taking impressions that don't click over time. If they do, it's just there's some kind of a mismatch there. I think in your auto campaigns, there's far less to worry about there because it's remnant traffic. So when you're doing an auto campaign, it's kind of like being dished up everywhere. And I don't think Amazon's as harsh on the metrics as much as using these ad spaces. I don't think you're going to have to worry about impressions and clicks in auto. But if you're doing a manual campaign and you're trying to build keyword sales history, it's problematic to have keywords that get impressions and don't click. It shows a gap in the relevance.
All right. Besides your brand name, would you also do product name for the name of your product and add those keywords to your brand ad group?
After the product had grown and I saw those keywords come out of my search term report, that's normally how I mine it. As long as you're catching everybody. Okay, so this one, for example, there's this Gloxinia Life, and then there's Dr. Calais. They're different searches, right? So every one of these is set as phrase, exact, and broad, because of course I can invest as much as I want in brand and never have anything go bad. So with that, if I mine my search term report and I see that there's some specific products, then that is really going to need to go into a product specific brand ad group like we've discussed. But if I'm just mostly finding people want the line, they're coming looking for Dr. Calais, they want all the products, they want the Gloxinia Life. At that point, then I don't really have a need for a product names in the campaign. So until you have history in your search term report showing you those segments, it's not necessary to list the product. But you can list your product names in the brand campaign if you know people search for your product by name.
Okay.
Like this is this is his name and a brand name. But product wise, I don't think that that these products are going to specifically have product specific searches.
Okay, next question is mobile ranking versus desktop ranking. So Ryan says, I've been sitting in the #1 spot for mobile for the one keyword that I'm targeting right now. Mm-hmm. Whenever I achieve the #1 spot on desktop, I make a note, but then a day later, I've tumbled to spot 3 or even all the way to the bottom of page 1. But the top spot in mobile has always been a steady #1, at least for a few days. Is it normal to have this disparity between desktop and mobile? If not, does it sound like I may be doing something wrong?
No, you're not doing anything wrong because there's no buttons in the campaign manager to segment this, right? You could be doing something wrong if there were like classic PPC settings to segment your search and mobile. I mean, normally desktop and mobile are separate settings. Like if you're doing Google or doing bigger platforms, you can always segment your traffic to kind of, see how it's performing desktop versus mobile, which I guarantee when Amazon makes mobile traffic available as a stat, you're going to see that it blows everything out of the water. It does. Just mobile's insane right now. And it has been for years. So with that, there's no place in your campaign manager for you to do kind of controlled metrics. There's no place to adjust bids, separate by channel. There's no place to check boxes to say, hey, I want more of this, less of this. Because you don't have any control over that, no, you aren't doing anything wrong. And it's just the way the algorithm is dishing up your ads.
Okay, Julie wants to know, how do you feel about seasonal campaigns? Is it worth it to try to bid on mid-tail non-descriptive phrases like perfect Christmas gift for mom? And if so, would that be in a browse group?
Yeah, I would say those kinds of seasonal keywords are terrible. I would say that search is about search. So people, when they're searching, the very power of search. Now, if you're trying to get category views, like, the competitor and auto campaigns are going to be your strongest hit for seasonal stuff. Being in your category at season is the best you can do, is being very visible on all product pages during holiday in the season. But keywords, the power of search is exclusively in matching the searcher's desire and the conversation in their mind to the product, right? So that's the only benefit to search. So search is the most powerful thing you could do with keywords if the keywords are right. So when you start to put that together, it is about what's going on in the shopper's mind and what are they looking for. So the only time you can leverage search-based marketing, there's a million ways to market at holiday. Like if you're talking about just disruptive, like Christmas gift type things, you could do a million display strategies. You got Facebook, you got so many, you got Google Shopping. I mean, there's a million ways to get traffic, right? And so if you're talking about a holiday type query, it doesn't really leverage the power of search and the expense of search to do it on something broad like Christmas gifts, for the simple fact that some people will search for that. They really will. But at that point, they're going to need tremendous social proof to pick it on a search. So I would say that it's not a good strategy to lead with, because you're not really meeting the shopper anywhere in their mind. Like if they're looking for a Christmas gift, that's just too broad. I mean, even in this search, if they're looking for collagen, it's too broad. If they're looking for a serum, it's too broad. Search is really about meeting that shopper identically, matching the search to the product and matching it in real time in a magical way, in a really targeted, really lightning fast way. So I think, when you get into that gift kind of browse thing, I think you're just moving into a place that's not going to be good performance wise.
All right, let's see here. And Getty wanted to clarify, Ignite has a feature that allows you to schedule campaigns. Are you saying that we should avoid it?
No, use the feature if it's done in a software tool. I was going to say that about Ignite, but I know not everybody has it on the call. But Ignite has it. Use it. Absolutely, it's programmed. It's in there. It's done with intelligence. It's programmed into the algorithm. It's perfect. It's a great tool. Use it. Just don't try to do it manually. Don't just try to shut your campaigns on and off all day to get prime shopping hours. But if you want to use the Ignite feature, it's a good one.
All right. When reviewing the STR, other than adding good keywords to the scale ad group, what other actions do you take based on this data?
In the STR?
Yes, what you're referring to the STR.
I use it just to mine out really good keywords, really good. I'm looking at the customer search term data. I'm also going to be looking at like different variations and how they perform. I'm going to look at, possibly, how to add negatives and other things that I use it for. But the majority, 80% of my time in the STR is one purpose only, which is to learn how the shopper searches and to get as much good new keyword matching as I can out of the report.
See here, do we have outlined somewhere the exact steps for downloading a top of search and other placement report?
No, it'll come in the report section though. Okay. It's very straightforward. You just go to the report section. That's the one you select and then download it.
Okay. And then what are the steps to download the lifetime reports that were used in the example today?
I've explained those in the class. So you go to the Amazon Campaign Manager, you get into the campaign and then ad group that you want to download. And then you go to the keyword tab and then you download the file.
Okay, let's see here. Kenny's got the next question here. It says, my bid rate is really, really high on brand name keywords in all three match types. It looks like someone is trying to outbid my brand name keywords. Do I keep putting my bid up over the highest suggested amount? And if so, by how much? I've been doing 20 cents over what it says the highest rate should be.
You could bid $20, don't do it, but you could bid like, $7.50 on your brand because you can back it out at 5%, 2% ACOS, right? There's 10% max. There's no harm in your brand. It can't go south. So just keep bidding until you're ranked. You absolutely have to rank. And in this campaign, Dr. Callie, I'm going to, of course, send you these files for your own review. But in these campaigns, I would also suggest that Dr. Callie do a headline search banner for his brand. He has 3 distinct products. A sponsored spot is not enough alone. People come back looking for this Gloxinia Life after the ads are visible in the funnel, in the category on all pages. They're getting some visibility. You need to have both sponsored products and headline search banner for your brand, right? So if I haven't clarified that in the past, you want a headline search banner for your brand. There's always, especially with multiple products. So I would do a brand sponsored and a brand headline on this particular campaign and on most campaigns. So your brand keywords, you need to do some research there because there's problematic keywords. Like there could be another big brand where your brand and that brand overlap, or there could be a dual meaning in your brand, like it means something else, or there's a different type of product that people search by that brand. It's your brand. You need to make sure that there's no kind of misidentified details there, right? Like you put in your brand name and you realize that what people actually do when they find that brand is, like for example, I had a client, we're doing bed pillows, but the brand searches on some of those keywords also overlapped with actually blue jeans, which is funny as an example in this class. So I did find that because the brand name had some overlap, right? Like they were at some point, they were a very popular jean brand. And then at other points, they were a bed pillow. You need to be sure that your brand name isn't being leveraged in a different category. If it's not already being used on Amazon, though, then there's no harm in bidding it way up, bidding up into the high range because you're not going to ever lose money. And it's essential that you have those brand spots locked down. It's not optional, it's essential. And it should never cost you money to do it. It's very, very low cost. And it's just 101 of paid search, have to do it. It's just the basic kind of starting point. And I think getting that done is really key. But then you also want to go out and see if there's a product that's conflicting with yours, that's driving up the brand price, and then get those negatives into your brand campaign or your, overall campaigns.
Okay, I'm going to read this one kind of slow. It's got a couple metrics in it, so you can take notes on it. Andrew says, I've been running new broad and phrase mid-keyword ad groups for 10 days on one product. Mm-hmm. Around 50 orders have generated, but the ACOS is at 90%, which is double of break even, mainly due to a high CPC. My question is, how long to run these new groups before downloading an STR and discovering which actual search terms are generating the lower ACOS sales? Is 10 days enough? Should I wait 30 days? Also, as ACOS is high, should I reduce the bid, or is it too early to do that?
You should reduce the bid if ACOS is high. If it's 2x what you need it to be, it's into the crazy zone, you should reduce the bids. And also, my question would be on these singles, on these broad and phrase match, are you running those as singles? Melissa, can you clarify that again for me?
It says here, it doesn't say singles. It says nothing about singles. It just says, I've been running new broad and phrase mid-keyword ad groups.
In the shop, yeah. I would lower the bids. There's no question.
Okay, and Christine's got a question here. It says, I have 2 of the same products that have 2 different sayings. For example, a t-shirt that has 2 different sayings. So she's doing a t-shirt, but it says something different on each of them. Mm-hmm. It's important that they not be on the same listing, but they show up in the same search on page 1 for the top keywords. Mm-hmm. As this will be searched under a broad seasonal keyword. Mm-hmm. How can I bid for rank with 2 products and not bid against myself when bidding for rank?
Well, you'll need to rotate those in one campaign, right? Because you won't. You're going to need to just be sure one of your products is ranked because it's not going to give you the 2 anyway. You're not going to get 2 brand positions on Amazon at top of search in this market. Inventory is too slim. In 2016, you could do that. It was the trick of all tricks. 2016 and early 2017, you can get multiple products on one search because there was, not everyone was using sponsored products and there was a lot more inventory. So right now you don't have that situation. It's a very popular platform. Everybody's in the game. You're only going to get one of your products to hit top of search for your brand. So with that in mind, as long as both variations perform the same on a conversion and sales point, click and sale, As long as they click and sell the same, then you can just rotate them in one group.
Okay, and Andrew was clarifying he is running those as singles.
Okay, so my question would be, how much data did you have before you made them single? Because it would be strange to me that as a single broad or single phrase match in a different, like exact match, like you're going from your scale group, right? So at scale, you had broad and phrase running, say, like 50 orders, right? Or you had broad running 50 orders at good ACOS, and then you move it into a single and then it doubled up. That would be surprising to me. I guess what I'd want to know is how much sales data you had before you pulled them into singles, and what match type was working so well that led you to move them, and then maybe just sticking with that match type.
Okay. Would working on ways to better optimize titles, bullets, and description affect the ranking of those 4 products that you are suggesting to go after in reference to my skincare products? That's a question from Fenor.
Yeah. One more time on that.
It said, would working on ways to better optimize titles, bullets, and description affect the ranking of those 4 products that you are suggesting I go after in reference to my skincare products?
Yeah, if they're already ranking with that kind of sales history, changes could impact them negatively for sure.
Okay. When bidding for rank in browse and shop, just to clarify, are we bidding at the keyword level?
No, if you're going bidding in rank, you want the whole group. You're just trying to get as much data as you can through that phase until you get your first search term report. So you don't need to bid at the keyword level unless you have. This is the funny thing about keyword level bidding. People love it and they talk about it like it's valuable, but unless you're actually using a sheet like we do in the STR to show you what you can pay for that keyword based on your sales conversion and your product page conversion, you don't even know what to bid. Just because the bid range varies from Amazon means nothing. And so you could do keyword level bids, but how are you making the decision on what to bid? You don't have any data. Now, if you're making your keyword level bid decisions based on the search term report, like moving them to buy, capping the bid based on your maximums, that's an interesting proposition. But if you're just starting out the gate and setting an individual keyword bid across like 20 keywords, and you don't really have any data that says what you can bid on that keyword, because the keyword's performance has everything to do with your sales history. It has to do with how your product converts on that keyword, how relevant that keyword is. What is your margin? What is the CPC based on your competition and available inventory? There's all these like kind of odd variables. Mostly competition drives the CPC. Your product page conversion and relevance drives that factor. And until you know those data, like the data points in the STR, which is why we build them into that with those columns, until you know those numbers, there's no use in it. I mean, you really don't have any reason to set keyword level bids. So if you're just testing all new keywords, in the shop and browse funnel, you might as well set an ad group level bid and then let the data come back and tell you how to adjust accordingly.
Okay. When reviewing the STR, you aren't pausing keywords with 10 clicks and no sales. Just thought you said that before that you were doing that. So I'm looking for clarification.
Normally, it depends. Like I'm usually trying to get an idea of how that keyword has performed across multiple search terms, and I'm normally making my pausing decisions out of like a different factor, but out of the keyword view. So if I see 10 clicks on a keyword and it's not performing, it's 0, and I can see it across the board in the STR. It depends if it's one of those things I can analyze in the STR. Like 80% of the time, when I see keywords that are driving clicks and no sales, yes, they get paused. But a lot of the time I have to also go into the campaign manager. So when I talk a lot about pausing, I'm usually talking about doing that in the campaign manager. We talk about doing it twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, depending on how aggressive you are in your ad strategy. Doing it at the keyword level in the campaign manager is the best way to pause. You can get some data out of the search term report on your keywords, but you're really looking at search terms.
Do you have hours you would recommend to have on and off when auto scheduling with Ignite?
No, because each product is different. Each shopping cycle is different, and you should look at your history in your business center, see if you get some good data there. Go into the business center and look if you could see trends in terms of time.
All right. Let's see here. Is there any way to find out who might be bidding on my brand keywords? I did do some research to see what or how, but the only thing that comes up with my brand name is me, which is a good thing. But what's a good way to find that out?
Well, they would be bidding on them. They'd be showing the ads.
Right. So you just search them and that's who else would be coming up when you search their brand name.
Yeah, it's just the bid is not the problem. You can bid as high as you need to get placement, but the bid's not the problem. I mean, you know what I mean? The competitor bidding on them is not a problem unless you can see competitors bidding on them taking your spots. But in my experience with algorithms, your brand is the most relevant search, and normally they just award it to you.
And that was the same question from Kenny, who was talking about his brand keywords being so high, the bids being so high for his brand keywords. He's afraid someone else is trying to outbid him for them.
It wouldn't matter. He could just bid it up. It wouldn't matter what they were bidding. I mean, keep going until you rank.
Okay. All right. And
if no one is ranking on your brand keywords, then it's not really a competitive deal.
Okay. So what does it mean to rotate them in one group? Do you put both products in the same campaign? So this is like in reference to the t-shirts with the two different phrases on them.
Yeah, it would be the exact same example I showed last week of the bubble product. You would have each ASIN, you'd have 2 ads per ad group.
Okay. Is it ideal to have a parent-child listing if 2 products are not the same? Example being a pot and a whisk.
No, you wouldn't do that. People won't self-select then. People only do it if like you have a red pot, a blue pot, and a gray pot. At that point, they're going to say, ooh, I like red. Ooh, my kitchen's blue. I'll take black. You know what I mean? They're going to self-select. They're just not, they're not ninnies. I mean, they understand how to shop. If they've searched for a pot and then you show them a whisk, then totally useless. Like they're not looking for a whisk. They're not in the market for a whisk. They most likely wouldn't self-select it.
Are organic sales included in the STR? And if not, how would you mine that data?
Oh, business report.
All right. And then I've got a couple things here. We're done with training related questions, but I just have a couple things that they're wondering resource wise. So I figured we'd just get to these at the end.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about resources because I have,
okay.
We're good to go on that.
All right, then I think we're good.
It's just easier for me to review those off the grid and kind of look at them and then know, like you always upload them. And then I kind of know what people need or want. And then I can kind of look at what we've got in the works.
Yep. Do you want those on, you want me to give those on Slack or do you want them in that doc?
Yeah, just in the doc, like we did with the process map.
Perfect.
All right. Good times. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm like, is that it? Okay, sorry, delirious there. Okay, good stuff. Well, great Q&A session. So keep in mind on Thursday's class, rather than demoing a campaign, I'm going to be demoing advertising dashboards because you need to create an advertising dashboard so you can track your total sales against your ad sales and your profitability. And there's a handout that goes with it. We've learned our harsh lesson of ever giving you guys a Excel template like this without a good handout on how to follow it step by step. So you'll get both on Thursday, and I'm going to spend the beginning of the class reviewing the advertising dashboard, how the metrics work, how you track your campaign performance, how you measure your total sales growth against your advertising spend, so you can start to see where you're kind of winning in the game with Amazon ads. And that will be it. Until next time.